Alright, hello there. This is going to be the first video we have up on the channel. This is going to be more or less just a channel about guns. We're gonna do cleaning, maybe later on do some test fires, different types of ammunition, things of that sort. So, to start off, today we have a Steyr AUG here, and we're going to go ahead and, yes, that's my dog in the background, but we're going to do some basic cleaning. Nothing too fancy. I'm not going to disassemble the bolt, nothing like that. So, we'll cut back here shortly, and I'll kind of show you how to take it down, and we'll go from there. Alright, so to start, I just want to say that you will need a couple things. Now, this is not really a tutorial, it's more just a video of me doing what I would do. So, for starters, whenever I clean, I have actually a cleaning kit. I keep many rags on hand, as you can see in front of me. Cotton swabs are a must. Then I usually keep a thing of toilet paper. It's pretty good for cleaning cloth. Some disposable gloves. And paper towels to set the cleaning supplies or the clean parts on once we're done cleaning them so that they don't get gun oil everywhere. So, to kind of get an idea of what we're going to do inside of our little cleaning kit here, I carry, just on-the-go things, napkins, paper towel, cleaning swabs. We have a brush here that we might actually have to use today. I keep gun grease. It's one of the best things in the world. And I keep now, this is what I recommend, is the Pro Shot One Step. It is, in my opinion, my favorite cleaner, lubricant, and protectant. Most people use CLR, which actually, that's what I was getting to. That's actually what's in this. I just repurposed the bottle and the head. So this is actually CLR mixed in there. So that's what we'll be using to clean for today. This was actually originally I bought this kit for a SCAR 17, so these are 308 cleaning rods. It's more or less what this is for. And then we have our scraper here, so we'll be needing that, and for now that's all we're going to use. So we can zip this back up. So we'll set that down. So now that we have all our cleaning supplies, we can get started. Alright, so I'll get back to you once I got everything organized, get it all where I need it to be so it's not in the way. Alright, now, for starts, I'm going to go ahead and show you how I do the disassembly process. So mine is a little more difficult than most. I have the Corvus Defensio rail system instead of the typical Steyr AUG grip. So it's a little more difficult to remove. But what we do is we're going to look over here. So you'll see your charging handle. And then you'll see this pin right here. In order to disassemble your Steyr, you have to pull back on your charging handle, right? That releases that pin, which is holding this plate forward. And then you have another one here, which will depress another pin. In that hole there, you'll see it come back out. There it is, see? So, essentially what you gotta do, hold this back as well as this at the same time, and you rotate this counterclockwise, and then once you've done so, it'll snap out of place and turn it back clockwise, and your barrel comes right out. Okay. Yes, I know most people, you know, they have the grip. In my opinion, it's a little easier to do it with the grip, but as you saw, I just did it with one hand regardless. Having the grip or not, it's very easy. The Steyr is a very easy to disassemble rifle, which is kind of what they had in mind. This was a military design, so, you know, being in the field, that's kind of what they had to do. So next step, right, we have a disassembly pin. So one thing that you must be aware of, this charging handle is still under spring pressure. So that means that by removing the barrel, that really didn't do anything, right? So whenever we remove this next part, that right there is actually going to be where the spring comes in. Now in that case, I'm going to need two hands to do so that this, believe it or not, I think that's happened to me once or twice, cleaning it. I remove this pin here, and I forget every time that the springs are still active, and so when I remove this pin, the entire front, this goes flying out the front, and I'm like, oh gosh, what the heck, what in tarnation? And yeah, but so what you do, you know, first of all, you always make sure your gun is unloaded, you know, that it's on safe. In fact, tell you what, I'll come right back. Give me 1 second, and I will show you that it's unloaded, just for the sake of the video. Give me 1 second. So we're just gonna pull back on the action and lock it back in place. Alright, so we'll go back. As you can see, the gun is relatively dirty in there, but there is no chambered round. Regardless, I mean, the barrel's out. It doesn't really have a chamber. All that's in there is the bolt. So this really has no capability of going off. But as you can see, I pulled back the charging handle. There's nothing there. The barrel is clear. There's no round, nothing, anything, anywhere that can go wrong. Just kidding. This is a gun. You know, stuff can go wrong, but it's fine. So now we're gonna move on. We're gonna go ahead and show you the disassembly process. So we're gonna go ahead and turn our rifle back around. Okay. So we'll release the charging handle back to where it goes. Now I always do it from this side. I'm pretty sure, I don't remember correctly the correct way. I don't know if it's ambidextrous or it's one way. I just know that I've always done it this way. So you've got your magazine buttons all in this area. You've got your safety here, right? So this button right in between all of that is your release. So what I do is I hold on to that top real good, and then I release it down. Okay. So give me 1 second to do that. Okay, so now that it's released, once that pin is completely depressed, once you let go, that spring is going to push out that front end piece. All right, so that's right here. So as you can see, this thing is under spring tension. Now you are able to remove the front part of your rifle. Okay, so now that can be set down as well. Alright, so now what you have here are your charging rods. So these are the guide rods right here. You'll see they go through these two holes here, and you'll see the bolt where the bolt goes, where the barrel goes through. So now we're going to set that down. Now what I'd usually do, first of all, I clean everything else. So the stock assembly is going to get set aside for now. And I usually start right here. Okay. So at this point in time, as I was saying earlier, the charging handle can be under spring tension, but now Once it is dislodged, you'll notice it is no longer under spring tension. That's because it was removed. So at this point in time, if you wanted to change out your charging handle for a new one, you could do so. Alright, so I usually just kind of leave that locked, so forget about it. Alright. So, first of all, I'm going to get a Q-tip, which this is going to show you what you need to clean. So, for these parts that are all black, you never really know what's got deposits on it, what's dirty, what's not. So you take a look at your Q-tip, it's completely clean, right? So just kind of wipe along. And then we look at it, you got some debris, not too much. It's somewhat dirty, not that bad. So now we're going to go in here, kind of rotate around. Okay, so it's pretty dirty. It's got some grime on there, but then again, that's what these are for. Your guide rods there are going to typically be a little dirty towards the front, so that will have to be cleaned. As for this, I wouldn't worry too much about these, but we're still going to clean them anyway, just for the sake of it. Yeah. So, I'm going to check all in our chamber here. Okay. So that's pretty dang dirty, right? So we're going to go ahead and clean in there. We'll get a brush it out, get some Q-tips going in there. Alright. Same deal up here. This is where the charging handle is. So, this is what I usually try to clean out, is this front section here, because that is where the front of them guide rods are going to be making contact. And as you saw, those get quite dirty. So, we check in here. It's going to be pretty dirty. Same deal here. Okay. Alright. So, what I'm going to do, just clean through here very, very slightly, and then I'll be right back. We're gonna clean out this area right here, this open area, with some 3-in-1. We're going to clean out these guide tubes here, 3-in-1. And then once they are clean, we're going to completely dry these. What I do is I completely dry them, and then I apply a small amount of grease so that those guide rods can go through quite smooth. Okay, so we'll be back once we get that done. Okay, so now we're back. We went ahead and cleaned out as much of this as we could. We used our 3-in-1 here, cotton swabs. And we took our brush and we kind of just brushed in there. So what I do is I get my brush here and I just kind of, go between all the different lock points. Just kind of clean. You'll see it's dirty because I just cleaned it. I have not washed the brush out yet. Yeah, so we're gonna just kind of go through and just brush each one. That's what I do. So now that we've done that, we'll set our brush aside. This is relatively clean, as much as we're gonna need it to be. So we're done for this portion right here. Most people might go a little more in depth, but I don't really shoot this gun too often, so it's not really one of those things I'm too worried about cleaning excessively. So for this next part, you are gonna need some gloves, if not just for one. Reason be, one moment, I'll show you. There you go. That is your bolt assembly. Okay. So this is going to get pretty dirty, but what I do for these guide rods here is I take gun grease and I run it all along so that it operates smoothly. Any points of contact that I notice that are extra stripped, damaged even, If it's damaged, I'll fix it, but otherwise, you can see where it's kind of shining here. You see that bronzish color? That means that this right here is a very frequent point of contact, so we usually grease that up, and so that it'll move along a little better than that, so that it's not as rough on the bolt. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and clean this out. We'll come back to it, and then I'll show you what we do next. All right. Okay, and we will be back for that. Okay, so we are now to the point where we've cleaned out the good majority of the bolt guide rods. So now all that we've got left to do here is this bad boy right here. Once we get this cleaned up, we'll reinsert, we'll lock it back into place, and we're good to go. So this, in reality, I don't know how often you need to clean, but we'll get it taken care of, and then from that point we will be done with this, and then I'll move on to show you kind of what I do once it's clean, and then we'll go from there. Alright, so now we're back. Okay, so this is going to just show you kind of what to do once you've cleaned it. Okay, once you've cleaned out your system here, once you've got all the dirt and grime you can get. Okay, what I do is I take this here. This is what I use. I use birchwood casing. It's firearm grease. So what we do, we remove our cap here. Okay, so on our firing pin spring right here, to start, before we reinsert, we just apply a small amount here. Okay, alright, so now that we've got that, I'll actually just set this over here so it's a little easier for me to work with. Take yourself a Q-tip. I mean, unless you want to just rub your finger on it, I don't really care. Yeah, no, I've got skin issues, so most people that can, I can't. Yeah, so we will just kind of rub that into the spring. That'll give it a little more aid for the future when we have to take it out and clean it. It'll kind of help with the friction a bit. So once we got that, we are good to go. So we will flip our bolt right back over. We will reinsert that pin. Okay, I'm gonna need two hands to do this. Hold on, give me one moment, please. It takes two hands to do this little motion for me. Alright, there we go. We're locked back in, and alright. So now we have this reinserted. Everything is good to go. Our bolt, everything. This is relatively clean. You know, I did a basic disassembly, nothing too in depth. Okay, so now we have that done. So we're gonna do kind of what I was telling you I do a second ago. Same thing with the firing pin spring. I get some grease, right? And I just put a small amount. Now, typically, the way it is, it's things like springs, anything that has tension on it is what I would use the grease for. But for something like this, I mean, you might as well just forget the grease. Just use your 3-in-1 like I did. But since this is experiencing a little more friction than the rest, I'm just going to go ahead and apply a generous amount of grease. Not too much, nothing crazy. to that lower portion. So that's what I do there. Okay. And we just remove any excess dirt, grime. All right. So now what we're gonna do, we're gonna flip this back over, okay? And it is the same deal for me up here. I usually apply a small amount of 3-in-1. You know, there's no tension, so we're not gonna really. We don't need the grease. It's the same deal here. Like I said, if there's no tension, like a spring, you just apply a generous amount of grease, or not grease, but 3-in-1. 3-in-1. Yeah, so we'll just kind of work that along. Alright, and then what I usually do is I take this, move it over just a bit, okay? I take a paper towel or piece of toilet paper, same deal, and I just kind of very lightly rub it, okay, just kind of around, just kind of get rid of the excess and kind of get what is on there all around those guide rods. Okay, so we'll come back to that after I get this done. Alright, so now that we've gotten rid of the rest, you know, we got all that out of the way, the next part we're going to take care of the barrel. So this is going to be a relatively easy clean. Can't say that there's much else to it other than, you know, a lot of people don't like to, but what I do is I just use a bore snake. Some people say, oh, why would I be, you know, putting something through the barrel of my gun that's been through another barrel, or that's, you know, covered in all that. But I mean, it does its job. What you really want is you want to make sure that the barrel is clear. You don't want any obstructions. You don't want too much dirt, grime to be in through there. And that's kind of what it does. It gets the job done there. So, alright. So what I use, if you don't know, Steyr AUGs typically run in 223 556. So if that is what you have, use a 556 223 bore snake. You can also use the typical means of cleaning them. You can use cleaning rods, patches. It's what most people go with. But there are some fortunate few that manage to get a hold of the 9mm barrels for these. And so they have 9mm Steyr AUGs. For that, you will need either a 9mm bore snake, or you will need a patches and rod for a 9mm. But for today, we're going to be doing the 556. What I do is I just set it in a vise angled down, and then I take, for starters, like this is just what I do for starters. Move this over. You don't need to do this. That's why I didn't say at the beginning you were going to need a vise. This isn't, you can just run a bore snake through there. This is just what I like to do, just to make sure that it's about as clean as it'll get. I get a couple layers of paper towel, toilet paper, and I just kind of set it under the barrel to catch any. But what we do, take your 3-in-1 here, insert into the barrel, and just kind of run it down. Run it down. Get it all in there. Like, I put a ton of this stuff just down the barrel, just to get it all good and clean. Okay. So now once you've done that, same deal. What I like to do, I get me a Q-tip, and I just kind of clean out the interior a little bit towards the breech, or the chamber, you know, the closer portion to the chamber is what I meant. And then I just kind of use a Q-tip, clean that out. Usually works great. Okay. Alright, and we will be back once we get this taken care of. I'll get the bore snake out, kind of show you what I use, and we'll go from there. Alright, so we're back. We got our bore snake. So, reason why at the beginning I didn't say you were going to need any barrel cleaning supplies, because that's kind of, once again, this is not a tutorial. This is just me kind of doing what I'm doing. But, you know, trying to kind of somewhat make it a tutorial, just kind of help out people that need it. But yeah, I didn't include that in the beginning because it's really just personal choice what you do. So first of all, you insert, if you're using this method, you use your bore snake, then you will insert the weight through the end of the barrel, and you'll just kind of feed it down till it comes out the end there. Yep. And just keep feeding it out. Alright, then you'll start hearing it come, and there it is. Alright, so now for the remainder, you can just kind of pull this through. And now what you do, you just kind of pull this through. You run it out the barrel a couple times. I do it about 2-3 times. Doesn't take much more than that. And then I check. I use my eyes. I look down the barrel, make sure there's no obstructions, nothing left over inside. Make sure that it was properly cleaned. Thing I like about these, it kind of mixes in a cloth portion with kind of like a wire brush. If you can see these metal bits in here, it's like a wire brush mixed in at the start, so that helps you really get any debris that might be in there out. Alright, so we'll go ahead and get that taken care of, and then we'll come back. Alright, so now the barrel is clean, checked for obstructions. I mean, it's about as good as it's gonna get. You'll see there are no obstructions in the barrel. Looks good, clean, ready to go. So, our next portion is going to be the actual assembly, which is going to be this here, the white body part. And we'll get to that here in a second. Alright now, well, we will be right back for that. Alright, so now for the assembly. You can't really tell in the video, but it is much worse than it looks there. It is very dirty, very dark. You'll see these white streaks here. That is from where the rods were making contact and kind of scratching up the stock here. So this is your this is where your trigger assembly goes. So this is going to be trigger assembly, safety, etc. So we will get back to this. We're just going to do some basic cleaning. I'm going to go in there, clean the hammer, and once we do that, we will come back. Alright, so we're back. We cleaned out everything as much as we could. As you can tell, it's not as, covered in all dirt and grime. It's reassembled. Everything is back to the way it should be. So we'll go ahead and leave this here, and then we will get back once we have everything reassembled. Alright, so here we are. Everything is reassembled. The gun is now cleaned out pretty good. So that is all there is. I mean, pretty simple gun to clean. There's not much to it. I mean, if this is something you would want me to post about more in depth, more of the disassembly, a more in depth cleaning, kind of something along those lines, you can let me know. But otherwise, this is all there is to it. Very, very nice gun, very fun to shoot. I mean, overall, it's pretty basic. It's pretty easy. I usually have fun cleaning this thing. It's a real blast to take apart and put back together. I mean, it's so easy. It's a real break from all those other difficult guns that I gotta work with. But other than that, I mean, there you go. I appreciate anyone watching this. If you don't mind, go ahead and subscribe. Leave a like. Like I said, this will be the first video. This will be the start of a channel. So I'd appreciate all the support we can get. If you'd like to see, different guns, more unique guns, things along the lines of this, Steyr AUGs. Here soon, I was thinking about getting a Hellion, which is another bullpup. They're pretty cool. They're modeled after I believe it's called a VH, or it's a VS2, something like that. Croatian gun. But that's about all there is to it. Very simple. You got your safety, everything. Well, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I'll check regularly, obviously, since this is just starting up. I don't have don't have any followers and any subscribers, so if you do leave a comment, I most likely will be able to respond to you as soon as possible. I mean, if you got any questions, anything related to guns, ammo, maybe even just random stuff, just leave it in the comments. I'll get to it as soon as I can. But thanks for watching. Like I said, go ahead, follow, give me a subscribe, please, like, and any questions, any comments, anything, go ahead and leave them. Get to you as soon as we can, and thank you for watching. There we go.